Mahadere hapuso todos. Hello to all of you. Sidus Masi, Parifanatamidzu, Minipogo, Paniguam Museum, Arts and Performance. And so it's with that in mind that we have invited Breaking Wave Community Theater to Breaking Wave Theater Company to come in and take on this month's HITA talk. But follow the Guam Museum on social media because hopefully in 2023 we're going to have more of these on a regular schedule. And we'd love to see you back here again. And I'll have, well, that's it for me. Let me pass it off to Breaking Wave so we can get this started. Thank you very much. You don't have to clap for me.
So welcome everyone. We are members of Breaking Wave Theater Company, and we're here to talk to you today about some of the stuff that we do, some of the stuff that we've done in the past, how it relates to culture, and what kind of things we can look forward to in the coming years.
Afare, my name is CJ Ochoco, and I am the president of Breaking Wave Theater Company. Breaking Wave Theater Company, also known as BWTC, is a 501c3 organization based on Guam that aims to use theater and the arts to nurture individuals and build communities. For the past 4 years, we have engaged in various events that have benefited local creatives, at-risk youth, and the community at large. We look forward to sharing more about the work we do with you all today.
A wave begins its journey underwater, where it travels unseen, gathering power.
When a wave breaks, it rises up to the surface and unleashes its force.
The Breaking Wave Theater Company is a group of artists that intend to break through the surface of theater in Guam,
Micronesia,
and throughout the world. Here at BWTC, our goals are to promote lifelong learning,
to improve the well-being of self-expression,
and to foster a community of artists and audiences.
We aim to achieve this by hosting theatrical workshops,
providing work experience to theater artists,
promoting the creation of original plays and performance pieces,
providing outlets for creative energy,
and increasing accessibility of the arts to underserved populations.
We have so many goals, and this is only the beginning.
If you believe theater can nurture the individual and build communities,
we would love for you to be part of our BWTC family.
To support the company, you can apply for membership, make a donation,
attend our events, or join our BWTC community group on Facebook.
You can follow and find us at BWTC Guam on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Every share and like makes all the difference.
With training, hard work, and dedication to the craft, help us bring theater for personal and social change to the masses.
Cultivating change, like great theater.
It takes all of us working together
as one. You can find more information at bwtcguam.com.
We hope you join us. We can't wait to work with you.
So, thank you. So that was our introduction video. We made that a couple years ago, right at the beginning of the pandemic. So now let's introduce ourselves, the members that are here. My name is James Averman. I am the Vice President of Breaking Wave Theater Company. I do a lot of the finances also and the logistics, and as well as a lot of backstage work. I do primarily set building and set designing for a lot of the shows. So that's where my focus in the theater world is. I'll pass it on to you.
Buenas noches. I'm Hannah Elmore. I am an actor, director, and writer, and I currently sit on the board of directors for BWTC.
Happy day, my name is Mia Alvarez. I primarily do stage management with theater. I'm also currently a storyteller and a writer for Breaking Wave, and I have acted before. Yeah. And I'm a member of BWTC.
We also want to acknowledge Jerome Ocampo, who is up in the booth. He is one of our board members as well, and he's also running tech for us today, so thank you, Jerome. Our other board members, CJ Ochoco and Joyce Torres, they are currently not on island, but they are here with us in spirit. So, what is BWTC? So BWTC, we were founded in 2018, and we focused on producing shows and workshops that focus on theater for personal and social change. And we often aim to use theater to explore important topics such as culture, mental health, suicide prevention, and more. For the past 4 years, we've been engaged in various events that have benefited both local creatives, at-risk youth, as well as the community at large. And we are a company that is for the community and by the community. What this means is, we were founded in 2018 by a group of University of Guam alumni. Breaking Wave Theater Company consists of a group of artists who intend to break through the surface of theater on Guam, Micronesia, and eventually worldwide. This company represents a culmination of years of training, hard work, and dedication to the theater craft. We are run by a volunteer working board of arts leaders with a passion for using the arts to impact communities. Some of us have backgrounds in various things, not just involving theater. Our membership base of about 50 people consists of everyone from youth members to adult theater artists, community members, folks from Guam and the Chamorro diaspora looking to stay connected to their roots here at home.
Our goals, as we mentioned in the video, are to use arts to promote lifelong learning, to improve well-being through self-expression, and to foster a community of artists and audiences. BWTC as a company believes to promote accessibility of the arts and highlighting the diverse community on the island. And we feel that as a company, we've done that in some of our previous projects.
Thank you. So let's take a look at some of the stuff that we've done in the past. Probably one of the projects that we are most well known for is Unspoken. Unspoken is a collection of original works that explores mental health, suicide prevention, and substance abuse. This particular piece was formed through workshops, community call-outs, and these powerful works bring to life very important conversations and stories that should never be left unspoken.
Another project we did was Comfort. It is a one-woman show that was done by our lovely board member, Joyce Torres. It is based on the true story of Maria Rosa Henson, who at the age of 16 was taken from the Philippines by Japanese forces during the height of World War II. Blending art and history, Comfort showed that there's power in sharing our stories.
So those first two projects we talked about were mainly driven by community arts and community scripts. Our next one was a combination. We ran a show, 21 Chump Street and Enamored. 21 Chump Street was written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, and Enamored was a series of locally written works that helped to promote substance abuse prevention, as well as give a space to local artists. 21 Chump Street was taken on a school tour, and we brought the arts directly to over 3,000 local students across the island.
Much Ado About Nothing. So BWTC returned to the live stage for the first time since 2019 with our production of Much Ado About Nothing by William Shakespeare. Performed outdoors and set in modern-day Guam, we gathered safely with close to 400 audience members to enjoy a classic story of love, wit, and forgiveness. The modern verse translation incorporated Chamorro and Tagalog languages, cracking Shakespeare open anew, offering audiences the chance to see and hear themselves inside his timeless language and story.
And finally, our most recently finished project was Masters of the Currents. This was in cooperation with HITA Productions and Humanities Guam. We helped to present the Guam premiere of the Masters of the Currents. Originally, this piece, this story was created by Leilani Chan and Ova Salpeng with Innocentia Kiku and members of the Micronesian community in the United States. This is a powerful theatrical journey that was based on the experiences of Micronesians who left their island nations due to environmental and economic pressures and the conflicts they had to overcome, both conflicts of social variety as well as conflicts internally of their own identity, and how they would go about belonging within their new homes in Hawaii. So after touring through Hawaii and the continental United States, Masters of the Currents premiered on Guam for the first time in Micronesia and received so much great feedback and praise from the community. And during the tour, we also conducted another school tour and various community engagements, as well as showcased the production itself at various local places.
So now that we've shared about our previous projects, we are really excited to talk about our ongoing projects, and one of those being Legends of Guam podcast plays, which premiered this past September.
It is my pleasure to introduce a snippet from our podcast plays, Ichonkunitsu, adapted by Rayon Guzman and directed by Joyce Torres. It tells the story of the origins of the coconut tree. This particular clip features voice acting by Jennifer Rose Joy, Rhea Julian, Sophia Igman, Ursula Herrera, and Ifit and Nicholas. Please note that this play mentions famine, sickness, and death. After the snippet, you'll hear from our podcast play's artistic director, Joyce Torres.
All the mothers and fathers already have children of their own.
There's no place for orphans in their homes. It must be bad judging for our parents to leave us.
They ran into the jungle where they found a cave and made it their new home. Being very young, the siblings didn't have many life skills, only the memories of their parents' teachings. Ilahi, the boy named Mariano, did his best to fish and hunt just like his father, Itatanya, taught him to do. Ipalauan, the girl named Medikita, made the food and kept the cave clean the way her mother, Inananya, did in their house. Food was very scarce at this time. All over the island, everyone was hungry and thirsty. It was getting harder and harder to find enough to eat. Yet every day, the children would come across drinking water or fruits and vegetables. Mampos swektiest in ados. How very lucky they were. It's almost like the food magically appeared.
Nana, why do you always take food out here?
Shh, Leo, not so loud. It's to help feed the children that live in the cave, Nan.
How come their Nana and Tata don't treat them?
Because they don't have parents anymore. That's why we have to help them now.
But Nana, you said we don't have plenty food, so why are you giving this away?
We don't have a lot of food, no. Don't mommy. We have a big family who share all their food with us. These children don't have a family to look out after them.
Nana, we should ask the kids if they want to be a part of our family. They can be my brother and sister, and then we can share everything. Then they don't have to be sad.
Ay, Lehu, you are so sweet, Lo. To see me like. Those kids are very scared of other people. If they knew we were here, they would hide and never come out to eat. And if they don't eat, what happens?
They get really hungry.
And if they still don't eat, then what?
They get really, really hungry. Matanyalan.
Hungry. Matanyalan sempri. They'll get very skinny and very weak, and then they die from hunger.
That's like Auntie Scylla, right, Nana? Tanta told me.
Auntie Scylla wanted to make sure Jojo was getting enough food first.
Are you eating, Nana?
Huh? Hoo-hoo. I eat after you eat.
Are you really, Nana? Remember, you're not supposed to lie. Tata said you need to eat some more, or else you will be like Auntie Scylla. Are you going to die, Nana? I don't want you to die. I want you to stay with me.
Ay, si Tatomo. He shouldn't be telling you those things, Nenny. Tata is just worried about us since there's hardly food. Lo, just because you don't see me eat doesn't mean I'm not eating. Tonight, and in Malagua, I'll let you watch me and Tata having dinner so you will know I ate something. Is that good?
Mm-hmm.
Seguro?
Okay.
Okay. Has to help us, Samana. We must be quick but stay hidden. Mala, we are near to the cave. Okay, to be still and scatter it around while I talk to the jungle.
Okay.
Go for Diastina Famago. Put for what? Muhammadino Famago. Coming now?
Yes, Asumanaza.
Husni, we have to get back and start making dinner.
Day. My name is Joyce Torres, the Artistic Director of the Legends of Guam podcast plays. These plays are a series of original works that feature legends found in Chamorro folklore. In this season, we feature the origin stories of Punsan and Puuna, the coconut tree, the lemai tree, Chaifi, and the young maidens who saved Guam from the big fish. Since our beginnings, the sacredness of storytelling has been our way of communicating with one another. It is how we continue to pass on knowledge, honor Amanyanya, and gather as a family, as a community, and as a collective. Here at Breaking Wave Theater Company, it has always been our mission to support our local artist community and to uplift our stories. We knew that from the very beginning that writing stories about Guam was always going to be a part of our journey as we forged ahead. We were just waiting for the right moments of opportunity and for the sparks of inspiration to present itself. Birthed during such an uncertain time, the podcast play series was at first a way for us to pivot during the pandemic. But now, we see that this fruitful offering continues to give and grow. In this project, we were able to help Chamorro playwrights bring their work from page to podcast and gather a team of artists and actors that span across the world. We found that even though we were in different time zones, whether you were in Guam, Hawaii, Taiwan, California, Arizona, Texas, Tennessee, Massachusetts, or the UK, we could still gather, share stories, and hold space for one another. We could be miles apart and still connect with each other's kana, as if we were in the same room. And what brought us together? Our ties to Guam and wanting to celebrate Chamorro culture and Chamorro storytelling. These stories may not be exactly told the same way our nanas told them to us, but what's a story without a few new twists and turns? We hope you get a chance to listen to the podcast plays. And the best part, if you enjoy them, you can share them with friends and family. Or you can recommend them to that random stranger you just met who's about to get a taste of what it's like to be from Guam for the first time. Thank you so much for listening. Esta, catch you next time.
Yeah, so you can find season 1 of our podcast plays. There are 5 plays in total. And you can find those on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as Anchor. You can also check out our website for links and for our digital playbill for all of these and find out who exactly voiced whom, as well as who the writers were and translators and things like that. These will be available pretty much for the foreseeable future as long as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor exists. We will leave them up there for everyone. So feel free to share them, listen to them over and over again, and pass it along. In the near future, we hope to expand on this. We hope for a second season of podcast plays, and we want to widen our reach beyond just Guam. We're hoping to explore folklore from our neighboring islands while we still continue to adapt Guam legends as well. So, that's still something that we're working on producing, so stay tuned to our social media at BWTC Guam for more information on that, as well as future call-outs, auditions, and more. So if you're interested in being a part of it, either as a writer, a voice actor, or even one of the tech people behind the scenes, playing with the sound, we're looking for all of those types of people as well.
So we hope you enjoyed a little look into our podcast plays. Coming up, we have a video from Jana Schoedemeyer, who introduces the oral storytelling project.
Hafade Guakusi Jana Sotomayor. I'm so grateful to be joining you virtually today. I am the co-director of the Oral Storytelling Project, Breaking Wave Theater Company. The Oral Storytelling Project aims to combine traditions of oral storytelling with contemporary theater. We have 5 Chamorro writers who have all conducted an interview with a family member. Each writer is creating written works inspired by the stories that they gathered. This past July, we had a 2-week writers' workshop that focused on community building and launched us into the creative process. Now, we are in the midst of the development phase, meeting twice a month for writing and peer editing sessions. This coming March, we'll have a public Zoom sharing of works in progress before we begin preparations for our in-person production in Guam next summer. The purpose of this project is to share the stories of our Manunku and to create theater for and by Chamorros. We are natural storytellers. It is in our blood, and we want to see more Chamorro representation on the stage. Our writers want to honor the stories of their Manunku and their family, and our hope is that audiences connect and relate to these stories. We are doing this project now because it is imperative that we tell Chamorro stories from our own perspective. In the past, our story may have been written for us, but through this project, we are taking control of the narrative. Culture is reflected through art, and now is the time to support, celebrate, and document the creation of work by Chamorro artists. I also believe it is of the utmost importance to know the stories of our Manunku. They have gone through so much in their lived experience and hold invaluable knowledge. We must ask questions to know their stories and learn our history so that we can pass it on to the next generation. Situ Uzmaatsi for having me participate virtually in this HITA talk panel. I hope you enjoy hearing from me about the Oral Storytelling Project, and stay tuned for more. Dios!
So we're actually excited to have Mia here today. Mia is one of our writers for the Oral Storytelling Project, and she has agreed to share one of her pieces that were developed through these workshops, as well as exploring some of the experiences that she's had with this project so far.
Okay, so this piece was one actually the first things that we wrote during our workshops. And just to give a little bit of background, we were asked to give the history of our name. No context whatsoever how far and how deep into the name we wanted to talk about. And after our discussion, I ended up writing this piece, and I'm sharing it today. I am a complete creation built upon brokenness. Shards of what if, promises and dreams float to form names, on futures, on children, on tomorrow, on legacies, and on and on and on. Start at the end and find a path that leads to your name. Begin with the first and work backwards to understand your definition, your title, the collection of letters that make up your being until you reach your roots, the last of all names, the start of your tree. My fathers, the end of my exciting legacy. Their names trail their ends of my title, Alvarez Gutierrez. Cracked at their edges, cracked from conception, cracked tracing, revealing canyons they will forever hold, yet somewhere they became whole. Both their histories, like clay, were molded again in the hopes of making them look complete. Alvarez, my father's last name, was taped on like a makeshift tail. Alvarez is not his blood, Alvarez was not his bond. Given without consideration, followed by cake, my dad came home to his legacy changed, Alvarez, and he wasn't invited to his own mother's wedding. He was raised on abandonment, a blood father who didn't acknowledge him, and a stepfather who never asked him to be his son. He knew his brokenness. It never destroyed him. He still carried this legacy, my legacy. He found peace in his pain. He took his shards of brokenness and made stained glass as best as he could. Pieced together with molten steel, he took his brokenness, what our island called brokenness, and built a home. So bright, so sturdy, so safe, sunlight danced through the shards. Brokenness never scared my mom, and together they fit a family in that home. They welcomed me, they welcomed my brother and I, and together we grow in stained glass light. Alvarez. Gutierrez is my mother's father's legacy. Tree branches extending to me. Legacy touching legacy. He, like my father, was born into abandonment. His mother died too young for him to know her. His father sang songs to strangers. He knew every lyric, every patron, every bar, but rarely called his son by name. My grandpa was raised poor, or so he tells me. Passed on from relative to relative with only 2 outfits and a pair of rubber shoes. He took his broken shards and revealed his brain, never giving the world a chance to challenge him. His intellect offered him a future, an education, and a life. How lucky it was. He knew how grateful for his blessings. He knew how lucky it was for an orphan like him to be offered an education, and a future, and a life. How lucky it was for an orphan to be offered hope. His brokenness fueled his heart. His brokenness fueled his love. His brokenness made 6 girls, and his 5th daughter passed his legacy to me, the Terrace. My mothers, the vessels, holding us whole. My mothers were complete. They came from complete families, full of complete siblings, and a complete upbringing that showed their wholeness so brightly they drew in broken men like moths. They were completely crazy. Ran a home like an office and their office like a home. They built their families from broken things. In between the office and home, the family, the kids and the growing years, the vessels discovered cracks in their clay. Nothing is truly whole, only painted to look complete on one side. They weren't perfect, and with time they too realized they were broken. But there was no time for that, and no one ever explains how to fix flickering suns. They just believe they will burn brighter and brighter on and on. Out of fear or driven duty, their brokenness was never heard of. Instead, they invested deeper into their families, to growing children, to growing employees, to growing friends, to growing love, until they all grew up and out, sprouting, stretching, on and on. Like Adam, they removed the side of their rib, removed the part of themselves, removed the name to create a woman, a child, a family, legacy. Roots, then branches form a tree. On and on we go. My mothers, the vessels, grow love, even when no one is around and no soul is hungry. They still grow love. I am a product of their love. Broken, when defined, is the absence of wholeness. Broken, when used, accompanies pain. Broken, shame lingers as you say it. But what if broken wasn't a place, a condition, a looping infinite going on and on and on and on? What if broken was a coming, and in between, a journey to wholeness? What if wholeness wasn't complete without brokenness revealing itself? What if wholeness was a broken stained glass window that held on long enough to be called beautiful, perfect, and good? Maybe it's balance, maybe it is fate, maybe it's dumb luck. I am unsure of what created my legacy other than broken men and broken women. Broken made them, broken made me, broken made the tree, our legacy. Broken, 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 whole, complete, me. I am a complete creation built upon brokenness. So this project, when it was first presented to me, and the importance of it really stood out when we were going through the workshops, and even now as we're going through development. Just like what Janice said, I think innately Islanders are very good storytellers. Whether it is your uncle telling you that same story again, or whether it is you recalling what happened last night, there is something in our blood and in our culture that just wants us to tell stories, wants us to continue our history somehow with our voice or through memory or through what we pass down through our generations. And I think this project is able to sum all of that up so beautifully, not only because they're asking us writers to speak to our elders and to recall their stories, but now in turn asking us to take their memories and turn it into something whole, turn it into something brand new, and hopefully for the stage and hopefully for all of you to see. And in a way, and what I've been learning a lot too, is that this isn't just only my elder story that I'm saying, but now in a way it's also my story. And hopefully it'll be passed on, not only for the generations to come with my bloodline, but now also to the community as well. And as a writer, I'm just really honored to be part of this project, to not only have an opportunity to tell my grandpa's story, who is the elder I'm focusing on, but then to be able to present it to you guys as well, and to be able to give back to my community in this capacity. It's a challenge. There's so many days, when you question whether or not you're doing your elders justice, you're doing your culture justice. But at the same time, there is so much fulfillment and so much love that is being poured into this project. Not only from the writers, when we're in our writing groups and when we're calling each other, but also within our families. There's a lot of love being passed on now from the generations. And I think this project sums up really the best of our culture, not only through generations, but with our innate talents, the things that we've had since the beginning. And that's it.
Thank you, Mia. So yeah, as Mia and Jana mentioned in her video, they are currently in the development phase of the project, so our writers are at hard work for the next few months, expanding upon the stories that they've created in the workshop over the summer and creating new stories. So stay tuned on social media, because we will be doing a public Zoom reading at the end of March to showcase some of their work. And then after that, we hope to produce a full production sometime next year, and we look forward to working with the community to do so.
Also want to point out that this was the first time that any part of the oral storytelling project has been made public outside of the writing group that's been working on it. So, looking forward. So alongside all the projects that we've mentioned above, we're excited to look to the future of BWTC and where we're going from here. As we continue to explore storytelling through the lens of culture, we hope to continue to support the development of local works, whether it be one-acts, devised pieces, or even full-length plays and musicals. We also have some exciting events coming up next year for to coincide with our 5th year anniversary, including the return of youth theater summer camps in collaboration with UOG Theater. We're also going to continue offering the various workshops that we have, such as improv, as well as other writing workshops. In the past, we've done costuming workshops and acting workshops. So depending on what the community is feeling like, what people tell us they want, that's where we'll gear our future workshops towards. And also stay tuned for any announcements of our season in the coming months. We're also open to project suggestions from the community, of course, which can be made on our website, which is bwtcguam.com. We also want to give a special shout out to our season sponsors. Their logos are all up there. We have Alter Ego, Bank of Guam, Future Smiles Orthodontics, The Tea Factory, and Coast 360. If you or anyone you know is interested in supporting or being involved with Breaking Wave Theater Company, please don't hesitate to reach out. It doesn't always have to be strictly monetary, even in-kind services or partnering up for things that we can work together. Kind of like this event here at the Guam Museum. We always look forward to things like that. So you can follow us along at BWTC Guam on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can check out our website, bwtcguam.com, and reach us through info@bwtcguam.com. That's our general email. So thank you all for being here today. Thank you to those who are tuning in to the live stream. And a very special thank you to one of our members, Curtis J. Jewell, for helping to arrange this, as well as to the Guam Museum and Dr. Michael Lohan Babakwa for helping to set this up.
No, Hamsumas. Let's take some questions from the audience and hear some answers from our panel. And so I have a mic. I'm walking amongst you. And if you would like to ask a question, I can give you the mic. Anyone? Professors are always ready to talk. I saw you. You were trying to be Mamala, but I saw that thing.
Thank you. No, it's amazing what you guys are doing. Like any theater endeavor in general, it's amazing that it can take place and thrive. And to see effort and with the talent that you have. It's amazing. I have one question and one suggestion. We're also engaging the museum. The question would be, what has been the most challenging of all the tasks that you guys have been facing? The most challenging of all, either logistical or emotional or material, I don't know. No, and then the proposal would be, I work at the University of Guam, I do research with the documents, and in the documents of the 1800s, the 1700s, some of the voices of the Chamorro people had been encoded because the records were taking literally their voices, like taking, now, we know of those, we can read it, but it would be nice to have it represented, performed, because it helps changing the perspective. There is a project that in the making, and this is an invitation and a possibility to explore. Again, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yes, that's an amazing project idea. We'll definitely connect with you. I definitely want to take a look at those records and see what we can transform to perform on stage or even as a podcast or any of the different types of mediums that we're doing nowadays. To answer your question about what's been the most challenging, I think I'll talk about like the logistically challenging, and then I can talk about what's challenging, like maybe emotionally or as an actress. So from the logistics side, one of the hardest things that we faced is not having a permanent home. So we're a very nomadic theater company. We don't have our own building. We don't have our own theater. So a lot of the shows that we put on have to be done in other places. In the past, we've done shows at the University of Guam Theater. We've also done a show, our Much Ado show was done outdoors at the College of Natural Arts and Sciences. We've also done shows at several hotels or in center courts of like again a shopping center. So we will go wherever there is a stage and a space for us to perform. But of course, it would be nice to have our own space one day because going to other people's spaces are great, but we'd have to pack up every single time. So that becomes a bit of a challenge for us.
Yeah, just going off of that, I think one of the most challenging shows that I've been a part of was our Unspoken Volume 3, which we did last September. And that was an interesting piece because it was meant to be live, but as cases in COVID rose, we had to shift gears and we had to create a theater show, but to be filmed. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I know you're all looking at me very confused. But we did a show, we filmed in, again, a shopping center in their expo hall. And we put together our Unspoken series, but for film. And so it was streamed online, and it was great success, but it was logistically very challenging. There was a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of hot rehearsals and shoots. And so that was a bit of a challenge for us. But so yeah, just to kind of go off of James, a home is really cool. Would be really cool because we've experienced some really cool, some really weird challenges in being in other places. But yeah, thank you for the question.
I also just want to add on some of the topics that we discuss, especially for things like Unspoken, because we're dealing with things like mental health, suicide prevention, substance abuse. Some of those topics can get very heavy, not just for audience members, but also for actors who have to get in like the correct headspace, or the writers who might be recalling some trauma that they or a loved one went through. So that's also a challenge that we face on the daily, but a lot of times as theater professionals, that's a challenge that we know we have to go through to properly tell the stories to the community.
Thank you. And you should definitely connect with Dr. Madrid, because in the Spanish documents there are like court proceedings in which the voices of Chamorros who are testifying, in which Chamorros who are suing each other, their voices are there, and it's something that historians either didn't know existed or just ignored to tell the same old story. But so that might be an interesting future project, is sort of bringing out life in Guam in the 1800s. I think you can draw inspiration from that. So definitely questions here? We have some that have come online. Oh, yes, Steve.
Yes. So in class we had a little discussion of the years from Magellan's first visit to 1672, Santa Torres' death. And the interesting discussion was we get this concept, or without that, before that discussion, the concept was that we've been colonialized for 500 years since the first visit of Magellan's coming, right, or arrival. But what's misconstrued is that there really wasn't no colonialism until 1672 on Santa Torres' death. So, but it's very interesting to see the interaction between the Chamorros and the Europeans with the Spanish for that 151 years. It'd be nice to see a video or like a play to show that, so that way we can bring the real truth that we weren't colonialized for 500 years, that we did have we did partake in a partnership or in a economic relationship with the Europeans, and it stayed out in the sea, and then we just brought it back into whatever we did. We brought it back into our land, and we grew, we learned. Do you think that would be interesting? Would you be able to do that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that sounds like that sounds like a very in-depth project. So I'm not going to go and say commit to it right now. But but yeah, that definitely does sound very interesting. Thank you. And it is something that we're seeing a lot in other theaters all across the United States. This movement to decolonialize not only theaters but also our own histories and stories. A lot of times, history gets rewritten by whoever the winners were or whoever took power. So it's important for us to do this kind of research and to find out what the real stories are. And a lot of times, as we discover new things, we would love to go back and explore and bring to light what actually did happen. So yeah, thank you very much for that suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because you bring up San Torres. When San Torres was in Guam, he's the one that brought Catholicism here. And Pedro Calungsod from the Philippines became a saint. And you'll see sort of there are movies about him. I know there was attempted musicals in the Philippines about him, plays and stuff like that. But it would be interesting there's very little about San Torres himself though. And it would be interesting to see a San Torres superstar. Not to commit you to anything. You're getting your Christmas wish list for pitches. But yes, if you have any great ideas, I mean, this is the time to share it with them. But are there any other questions or comments? Okay. What are Muller? Man, I got total Muller. No, okay. So we do have some questions that have come on the live stream, and one of them is, how has working with Breaking Wave Theater impacted either your identities as Chamorros or your identities as people who aren't Chamorro but Guam as your home? So how has sort of the experience, how has this been sort of a nurturing or sort of enriching experience in terms of your identity?
I can start off with this one, especially with this oral storytelling project. It's the first time, as someone who has been a lover of the arts and theater and has been writing writing since middle school, and just really having my foot in the arts. It's the first time anyone has approached me to discuss the arts with my culture and also my relationship with my identity. And a lot of the beginning stages of the workshop and the prep leading up to it, there was a lot of internal conflict on my end about who was I really, how am I Chamorro enough to tell this story? Because that's a common thing that I was experiencing every night, where I felt like I need to drop this project. I am not Chamorro enough. I haven't lived on this island long enough. I don't speak the language. I'm fake compared to all the other writers in that room, and I need to leave. And when we got into the space and started writing, that experience was so shared between all of us, where we were there feeling unworthy to tell these stories. And the beautiful thing that the directors were doing in decolonizing theater for us was allowing us really to take back what storytelling is to us as Islanders and as Chamorros, what these stories meant to us, and also confirming to us that, it doesn't, whoever told you that you were not Chamorro enough to tell a story? Like, who placed that lie in your head and said that you aren't allowed to be in this space and to speak on these stories? And that was one thing that we all kind of came to conclusion to towards the end, where it's like, no one ever directly came up to us and said, you're not worthy enough. This is something that has been trailed in us for a very long time, and there's so many factors that come into it. And I think the beautiful thing, especially with this oral storytelling project, is that it's made me kind of feel more comfortable in my skin about my culture. That no one ever said that there was like a percentage to how Chamorro you truly are. You are Chamorro if this is your blood, if this is your culture, if this is your family. You are Chamorro no matter where you were born or who directly is your bloodline. And at the same time, that it's okay to have these feelings as well, to feel valid, to feel valid in a space that allowed me not only to feel Chamorro but also not Chamorro. I think it's just as equally important in the healing process. And to have this time to navigate my own skin. And so I think that's been a really beautiful thing about theater, is it's building this safe space together with the people that you're in to feel whatever you're feeling, that your feelings are valid, and that you can have a space to explore it, whether it's through writing or through acting or through producing a show, and also just to be given space in general, to be given a voice. I think is just as equally important. Yeah.
I'll make mine really quick. BWTC specifically gave me an opportunity in terms of, there's a really beautiful healing process when you come to terms with your identity, or you connect with your identity in a new way that you hadn't. And I've been an actor for 10 years now, and doing Much Ado About Nothing, which is written by Shakespeare. We modernized it, we set it here on Guam, and we incorporated Chamorro and Tagalog. And that was the first time I spoke Tagalog on stage. And I've never done that as an actor for 10 years. And so to do that with BWTC, to connect with my identity in a new way that I hadn't with my craft, was a really, really cool experience. So I'm very lucky. Thank you for the question.
Any other questions? Any other comments? No? We did get one more question online, and it was related to actually what you talked about, what you just talked about there. And sort of the question was, what was the experience like taking something which to some people is sacred in theater, Shakespeare, and then sort of localizing it? Did you feel like you were doing something wrong? Did you feel like you were doing something right? Or just, what was that feeling though? Because, and even for me, I remember going to undergrad at UOG, and sort of back then there was still, Shakespeare was on this pedestal, but the problem always was that it doesn't make you feel connected to something, it makes you feel like you're not good enough to read it, a lot of times. And so what was that experience like, taking something which in theater everyone still think of as being like this sublime, sort of the epitome of it, and then throwing in some child jokes?
You know what's so fascinating is there is this perception of Shakespeare to sort of be removed. And when Shakespeare wrote in his time, he was actually writing for the general masses. He was writing silly jokes, inappropriate jokes, and he was throwing it in for the masses, and he was writing for the people. And so when we did this show, it was a modern translation already by Randy Bolt, and we incorporated Chamorro and Tagalog. And what's so fascinating about doing Shakespeare or doing any play that is not written about us or written a long time ago is themes, emotions are universal. universal. And so when we made it about us, it was actually incredibly relatable. I mean, the concept of love and forgiveness is something we all experience. And so when you're able to kind of remove that veil of, oh, it's so far removed from us, we could never relate. And when you remove that and you look at the humanity and what's in the piece of the characters, and you look at them as people, and you insert yourself, and you're like, now I get to tell this story as a Chamorro, as a Filipina. I'm telling this story with my lens. It's actually very relatable, and it's very, you see yourself. It's really cool. So, thank you for the question. Such a good question.
If there's nothing else, final thoughts from the panel?
We're just excited to continue working with each other, with the public, with the community. We want to continue telling stories. We want to continue making it possible for you to tell your stories, and that's really what we're here for. So, at any point, reach out to us, get in contact with us through our website, through our emails. If you have any other ideas later, you can always get in touch with us, and we can talk about it. You want a project that you want to start running? Come get in contact with us. We can help you do that as well.
Si Drews Mas, Nita Kapati, let's give them a... Thank you all for coming out on your Saturday to the Guam Museum, and remember to follow the Guam Museum on social media to get info on future events